go back to GPT to get the prompts for VO3, and then take the VO3, put it into Final Cut Pro or CapCut, and then do this sort of clickbaity / hook. We'll call it a hook. Create a hook and post it on X, and then you can bring it to other platforms like YouTube and stuff. But you've revealed all that. What does this mean for someone listening to this? Meaning, okay, I want to create a business around this. I see the opportunity. Like, where do people go from here?
Yeah, that's a great question and something I think a lot about. One is because I'm still figuring this out too. So I'm going to give you like 10 confident answers of the easiest ways, 10 ways you can start making money tomorrow using VO3. Like I'm probably going to make that listicle or whatever. So like, yeah, I mean, here's my list of like 10 ways you can monetize VO3 and content. So for number one is obviously just use VO3 to build a brand for yourself. This first one is more of like, just use this to get into the ecosystem of creating content that in a general sense, like is content you're proud of and can lead to downstream work. So then let's talk about sub niches under that. So you can attract direct, kind of clients that want similar commercials. So for instance, like I probably could make a less viral version of this video and it's just an actual like boring client pharmaceutical commercial. And then I could just like direct to consumer, like hit up all the different, whether it's agencies or media buyers or like pharmaceutical companies directly. This is a bad example because I don't think people should be making per se AI pharmaceutical commercials. Although I'll tell you this, like they're all scripted bullshit regardless. Like the people who are like, well, it's not authentic testimonials. Like it never was authentic testimonials. Like those people are making like $2,500 per day to just say whatever the producers tell them. So I do not have any moral qualms about this. So anyway, you could do that. You basically could just create a brand, whether it's pharmaceutical commercials or whether it's like, I think food products are really smart. You could just go to different like beer companies and create like crazy cinematics for that. Like there's so many people on X that are like posting their exact prompts for like crazy food orbit shots. You can make that. And then you could just pitch it to like different restaurants, different kind of like, feastables, like CPG brands. Like they all want crazy content involving kind of their product. You could do it with underwear brands. And so I would say like, there's a lot of ways, a lot of brands that would love unhinged special effects kind of shots that you can do with AI that all these agencies are like, they could never do for those budgets. And then you can charge probably anywhere from like $5,000 on the low end. I don't recommend people do content for less than $5,000 because even though this stuff is easy, it's still your skill as a filmmaker is worth the time. So like, even I can make a bombastic statement like this cost me $500 in credits, but like it's the whole Picasso metaphor of like, he like draws on a napkin in 30 seconds. They're like, why are you going to charge me like $40,000 for it? It took you 30 seconds. He's like, no, it took me like 30 years to understand how to do this and, take it or leave it. And I kind of do think you have to have a little bit of that arrogance in an age of like compression going to near zero with like, the commodification of like filmmakers and production companies. So that's why I do harp overall on like, you've got some weirdness about you. Lean into your own interests and weirdness and niche, and then figure out how to like work with brands who are at the end of the day, the ones who have money to spend, to kind of productize your unique point of view into commercials that you find entertaining, brand work that you find entertaining. Because if you do, I think other people will as well. It's just, and then it's like all about finding those niches. So point number 3, build a portfolio and let agencies work with you. So this can either be super general, where it's like mine, where it's like a bunch of different types of, commercials. But I'd say if you're more starting out as a filmmaker, like I said, it's like really keep it niche to what interests you. Like say you really like knife commercials. It's like, great, go target, like knife companies and do the like, I'd also say this, like if people are like not sure of how to tell great commercials, Steve Jobs said it best, great artist copy or good artist copy, great artist steal. Like shot for shot, at least in your own internal, like when you're making the first couple commercials to like build out your portfolio, I don't care. This is very controversial, but I would say like, just rip these shots shot for shot, like upload a screenshot to ChatGPT of like the first frame of the commercial and say, break this down into a prompt and then type that prompt in a VO3 and then like, boom, you get your first shot, but don't do it for another knife commercial. Then do it for like a boot commercial or something like that. Something adjacent to where it's not like a direct rip off. It's just kind of like the spirit of this. So it gets you the pacing and the flow. And then, like I really think when you work with templates of award-winning commercials and you tweak them and you adjust them and you make them unique on your own, that's how you can like instantly level up your skills as like a filmmaker editor, is when you're kind of copying the greats. And then over time you find your voice. Like I don't anymore have to direct do copies, but I totally, when I started my career, like I was like, okay, I'm going to take this award-winning commercial and I'm just going to reapply it to this new product. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just taking, I'm using the coloring in the lines kind of thing. Point number 4, create a narrative series and do brand integrations in universe. Okay. So this is one of my favorite creators. I'm going to pull him up on screen real quick. His name is NeuralViz. 1 second.
I thought you were going to say his name is PJ.
One of my favorite creators. Yeah. His name is PJ. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So NeuralViz is a friend of mine. He, 6 months ago, he had like no views on his content. Like, and within then he's grown in just a few months to like 800K subscribers. Some of his videos have like, 18 million views, and he's got the craziest stuff. So it's like a weird alien, and he'll do like parodies on our shows. So for instance, this is like House Hunters, but in this weird alien universe.
ChatGPT gets 123 million visits a day, and most people still use it like a toy.
Pretty. It's 1 bedroom, 9 bathrooms, 20,000 square feet. It's walkable and runnable to Deedle. It's got 2 infection rooms and a heated freezer on site. They don't list the price because none of us can afford it. Let's check it out. So immediately when you walk in, they've gone with fancy tire store. This is incredibly...
It's just like the weirdest shit ever. I absolutely love it. And then they do like street interviews as well.
What's your go-to move in the bedroom?
Sneezing.
Okay, that's a first.
I get on my knees to sneeze, if you know what I mean.
Very, 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 very weird. And so he's built out this entire, he's called it the monoverse because it's like this whole, like 1,000 years from now, everyone's wondering like, were humans real? And it's kind of this whole like, you know, they're doing investigations in it. Like if you just go through the channel, it's fascinating. But I think like how he's going to be able to make money. So he makes money right now in merch sales. He's got a Patreon, but actually like if you really wanted to monetize the crap out of this, he could just do product integrations where these aliens find, artifacts from our time. And it's like, just, like Tabasco sauce, like work with Tabasco, say, look, hey, I get, whatever, like 18 million views on my video. What's it worth to you to have the aliens like, find a Tabasco sauce and worship this or some sort of like brand integration around that? Obviously I wouldn't tell audience members like it's easy or quick to kind of build an entire universe like this, but it absolutely, like if you really don't want to do commercials directly, you want to tell narrative stories, you can absolutely integrate those product placements into your stories. And then, just do it on your terms, make it still funny, make it still brand friendly, and then you can monetize that.
Another reason why this works is he's taking a popular social format, i.e. man on the street videos or the Zillow videos, or he kind of has like a mock Joe Rogan set. And then he's doing it with a twist, i.e. alien. So that's another way to do it is like find when always be on the lookout for a social format that's really starting to take off and then think, how can I do a twist to this? And then, yeah, I agree. Like the alien's wearing a Rolex, sell it to Rolex or whoever.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So 5th way to monetize, obviously sell courses. I don't like recommending this because it's like, how do you monetize being a marketer? Well, you sell courses as a marketer to other marketers. Like, okay. So like it's just an MLM. Like what are we doing here? So anyway, yes, obviously you can sell courses.
Info products is really what it is.
That's what it is.
It could be a course or it could be like a PDF or a digital product that you're bundling up and then you're selling.
That's right. And number 6, do consulting with larger companies. So there is a few friends that I have in the space that these guys make like 6 figures, meeting with Fortune 500 companies and other companies just saying like, okay, we figured out how to not just be like, create great content with generative AI, but we've also figured out how do we keep it within your legal compliance constraints. So like they know exactly the models that are kind of give you indemnification for, like your, company security procedures. Also, just in general, like how do we work with your company to integrate generative AI? Lots of lucrative things. I think, it's a whole separate skill set to be like a successful consultant, but it's definitely a way that you can learn the skills and then just start hitting up these companies to say, hey, let me do a $1,500 training and et cetera, et cetera. And if you're interested in like pricing on that, it's pricing. The pricing tip is like the scale of the company, you charge more. That's it. It's the same content. If you're doing it for a small company, you charge a little bit. If you're doing it for a big company, you charge more. Okay. Number 7, build a sketch comedy channel. So this is not something that's easy to monetize, but I do think that that's the opportunity that, you have right now is like doing a Key and Peele style sketch comedy show. The only problem is like, it's a bit harder to do brand integrations, but TikTok actually shows that this is possible if you can get a big enough audience. So I don't know if you've seen like Bang energy drinks. I see these all the time and it's annoying as heck, but like basically at all points in the comedy bits, they have like a product integration and it works. 8, do narrative films. So obviously like I have a 25-minute TV show that's coming out on the story of Jonah. You can do a narrative film for like long form content. I'm actually not that bullish on long form content with generative AI because I think the space iterates too fast and like the first bit of your film can look good and then the last bit of your film can look bad. So I typically don't recommend trying to do the old Hollywood model with generative AI, especially if it's like 90 minutes of content. Like don't chase that. I think creating like episodic weekly content is by far what's like the new economy, the new creator economy. Like people's consumption habits these days is like 80 to 90% like just social episodic UGC content. It's not, sure, we still watch shows, but like there's only, I don't know, it's just like you can compete in a huge market, which is like really easy to make weekly content. You don't need big budgets, or you can like try and, do the old Hollywood route of raising, even with generative AI, it's still like hundreds of thousands of dollars to create like a feature film or something like that. Like it's not easy. Trust me, we've explored it a lot. I'm not convinced that like long form narrative content is the best way to apply generative AI, but weekly content's far better. Also pitching brands on narrative content would be number 9, which is basically you could just say, like we'll do this, kind of alien style universe, but with your brand, we'll make funny content, but like all like before, all the relics and artifacts are just in your brand. We'll do a whole, 10 episode narrative series. It's like 2 minutes a pop and, charge you 10, 20 grand on this. And then lastly, like it's more niche, but like picking a small sub niche, like for instance, like we're doing the story of Jonah, which is like a Bible content. Look, it's like open sourced IP, if you will, like the Bible. It's got like 2 billion daily active users, like engaging in the content, and you can make any story you want in there. So I actually think it's a really, really great because the supply is low of content that's like Bible films, and the demand is super huge. Obviously, you can find other niches like this, but this is a really great example. Like I've seen so much, like millions of views for just like faith-based content, and everyone like eats it up. Even 6 months ago when the quality was bad, they're still like, oh, this is amazing. So there's also a lot of monetization there, working with studios to make like faith films and stuff like that. This guy's the limit. These are just 10 that came off the top of my head. At the end of the day, I think the biggest advice is basically just like do what fascinates you, create copy the frameworks of what's really successful and apply them in a unique new niche that's similar to you. Follow the instructions that we kind of outlined here on a technical basis. And then, of course, follow my X and subscribe to my newsletter. I do constant updates, tutorials. I've got a course coming out in a few weeks, and just here to help. So always open to people reaching out to me and asking questions and such.
Yeah, I would say my two favorite ones are using VO3 for your personal brand. So like an audience is worth a lot of money. And if you have a niche and you have an idea of where you want to take your personal brand, like what sort of short stories could you tell using these tools to get a lot of followers in a short amount of time that trust you? So that's one. And then two, like this opens the door to a huge, number two, basically creating commercials for different niches. This opens the door to so many different like vertical niches that wouldn't have this level of cinematography and couldn't afford a $500,000 agency for a commercial. So like finding a underserved niche, I don't know if it's like nursing.
I've got one for you. It's book talk, romanticy talk / romanticy. Basically, like reaching out to authors and doing book promos for them, doing scenes from their book. Huge. Just because of how like viral some of these romanticy series are. They'd pay serious money for you to create more marketing materials for their books.
There you go. So I mean, PJ, we'll include your social links where people can follow you in the show notes. This definitely got my creative juices flowing, and appreciate you coming on.